2, 3, 4.
Sometimes I think this woman is kind of hot. Sometimes I think this woman is sometimes not. Put me down, fooling around. What you doing to me? Off the satisfaction, ain't bringing action. That ain't the way you should be. Loving knows I'm her man. She's gotta see. Pours my beer, licks my hair, brings out the devil in me. Hell ain't a bad place to be.
Yes, sir. All righty. Everybody, this is Jimi Bell, and we are here for another episode of Beyond the Strings right here at RHCTV Studios, renamed Jimi Bell Studios. The neon signs going out front. You'll see it all over the place really soon. Flashing. Jimibell. It's going to be epic. Anyways, I have a longtime friend here. I mean, we go back from the 80s, which is very cool to have a friendship that's lasted that long. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Mr. Raymond Wheaton, he's an excellent musician, great singer, great guitar player, great songwriter. You guys have done it all. But I have one question to ask you right away, so I want to just jump into this really quick. You know, the older we get, you know, how are you dealing with keeping so sexy? That's what I really wanted to know.
I follow your tips.
Well, listen, here's the deal. I mean, look, the other day I looked in the mirror and I said, man, you're looking old. And then, you know, one box of black hair dye later, I was like, you know what?
Hey,
you look good.
You're talking my language there, Mr. Bell.
Right. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, look we're still doing this after all this time. I mean, and we have a lot of history. Yeah. We're still here. Yeah. We made it through the 80s.
Yeah, fortunately, you know, we did.
Yeah, we did. Some of our friends didn't, but I mean, we managed to, and of course, because that was a wild time. So, all right, so we're going to obviously talk about King Cole, because I absolutely love King Cole, and I've been a huge supporter of the band from when you first got together, if you remember. But let's go back to Society's Children, and there's been so many members of that band. So tell me some history of that band, because we're talking the early 80s when, you know, we had the Agora and everything else around open.
So many clubs. Every corner was a club.
Did you have do you recall, well, okay. Tell us some of the people in the band prior to you even getting, because I didn't even know the band existed. Yeah. Prior to, I thought you were in it, then left, and then they got somebody else, and then no. So okay, give me some. No, history.
So real quick. Initially, they had a guy, Jake, that was with them for just about a year, and then they had a female, Bonnie, who you remember because you guys did shows together.
Right, I remember Bonnie. Yep. She
great singer. And I remember seeing her at the I-90 prior with Bonnie. And then she left to go out to L.A. to try to make it. and they were once again without a singer. But this was very early on in the stage of Society's Children. They had made a name for themselves somewhat. They were playing with you guys, with Forces. And I happened to be dating a girl whose one of her best friends was good friends with the drummer, Bobby Kerr, of Societies. And we used to get together all the time for cookouts and drinking and having a good time. And just banging away on the piano one day, doing a bunch of songs. He's like, hey, we need a singer. I was a bass player playing in a band called Crystal Bishop.
Oh, okay. Well, first off, I want to ask you, I love your voice, first off. Okay. Anyway, I mean, you definitely have, when we do the Five Kings thing, you know how much I love doing the Bon Scott thing. But I mean, you have a great original band where you showcase what you do. When did you realize that you could sing?
Well, I didn't.
I've had other people tell me that. They were kind of, actually, Mike Gill was kind of thrown into that as well, too, on some things.
Yeah. So I was a bass player in a band called Crystal Bishop, and I used to sing an odd song here and there. When he said that, and I got their tapes, and I was listening to their music, I'm like, wow, this is some good stuff.
Covers, right?
No, all original. This was Societies when I first got the tapes of that, And I started singing along, and I just sort of kind of adjusted. I had no training or whatsoever. I managed to get the gig by grace of God. I don't know. But I could sing. I had a really high range. All back in the day, the metal stuff, we were screaming. I had all that kind of stuff. I still do. It's just not.
Yeah, you still got to scream.
Yeah. And I got it. And then once I got the gig, I realized I needed to get some extra training, which I went to a coach in West Hartford, the New Voice. And I did that for a while to get just kind of advance where I was and streamline what I was doing and know what I should and shouldn't be doing. And that helped me immensely go forward. And from that point on, I use it to this day.
What is some, it's funny you brought that up. So I don't even know if you remember, because it's been so long, what are some vocal exercises? I mean, I wouldn't even, Mandy actually suggested, when I did get in, I was forced to sing when Max Explosion, because we originally had,
great band.
We originally had 4 guys in it, and then we went to a trio, so I had to take over singing all the low parts.
Yeah.
So, which totally trained me incredibly for when I joined Autograph, because I still maintained doing all the low harmonies, because we did everything live.
Sure.
Is there any particular exercises that you remember that were really helpful?
Yeah, they're all there. So
is it breathing? I mean, what is it? I mean, I know, what is it? Breathing from your.
The diaphragm. There's that aspect which was very early on, so that you train yourself that your center point is always diaphragm for the New Voice. But the vocal exercises basically start off with a series of throat and tongue exercises that are a little probably not G-rated at the moment. There's a lot of this stuff going on, and it's a process. And then there's a vocal thing at the end, and then I've developed certain things going through keys, going very high and all the way down.
Do they have Is it something where they go like you got
pronunciation, but that's in general. I mean, that wasn't a part of what I was doing, but it came in all the vowels for enunciating.
When I hear singers do do their singing, and they go up into the real high ranges and stuff. And when I sing, I have I sing in my car sometimes, and
we all do.
I push my voice because no one could hear me. So if I hear something on if I happen to turn on a radio and something from Brian Johnson comes on, which is impossible for me to sing, I will push to see where my breaking point is.
Okay.
And there is a point where I have a full voice, and then apparently there's something called a head voice, and then
falsetto.
Yeah, and then you break into a falsetto. I could go from one point to this point, and then I have a very high falsetto. I could do really high, but it's that section right in the middle that is like a nightmare. And I wanted, is that something you developed through the lessons, or did you kind of have that already?
So there was a lot of music in our house growing up, and I was always singing, so I think that's kind of put me in that direction, but not even really realize. I mean, I would sing along back in the day, but once I put my mind to it and was going to these lessons, she was an older lady, and I
think I heard of her.
She could play. Her hands were like, but she could play like Liberace, and she had a ruler, and she would go through these exercises. If I messed up, she'd crack me on the hand.
Oh, really?
Yeah, oh, yeah. But she was fantastic for making you focus, and she'd stay right in your face.
I don't want to get political, but boy, you can't do anything like that nowadays, boy.
No, she didn't. Yeah, she didn't care. She wanted you, because her time was money, and she wanted you to be.
I heard
disciplined.
of this woman. There's other people that told me about this woman in West Hartford. I forgot, but there are other.
I wish I could remember her name, but
she was well known.
She was
actually.
Yeah.
Hey, listen. Before we continue,
it's time.
It's time. We're going to do another segment of Inside the Gig Bag. We'll be right back to you with Mr. Ray Wheaton. What a pretty chord at the end there. Absolutely love that. Welcome to another segment of Inside the Gig Bag. And today, I want to just talk to you about the different sounds you're hearing right here of what are humbucker pickups. I am going to do another segment bringing in a Stratocaster so you could hear the difference between humbucking pickups and single coil pickups. So I'm just going to give you a little sample here of what they call like the treble pickup or the lead pickup. You'll hear it's got a nice bright sound to it. Yeah, it's just got a nice, like a nice bite. Now I just want to demo that, just so you know, so you can hear it with overdrive. So I'm going to hit this overdrive pedal here in this Boss ME70 multi-effects thing right here. Go. There's it with the overdrive. Now let's go up to the rhythm pickup because there's some really cool things we could achieve with this. We're going to head up to the rhythm pickup now. And this one has a much warmer tone to it. bass, man. It's so cool. So check this out now. Here, you have a volume for your bass pickup or rhythm pickup, a volume for your treble or your lead pickup, but you also have tone controls here. So let's check the bass pickup out with the tone rolled off, because that is really sweet. I'm going to roll the tone back on so you can hear. Still down. You're getting brighter and brighter. Now here's a very cool thing. Now this switch right here, it's called a toggle switch, and what it's doing, it's toggling between the two pickups. All the way down is your lead pickup. Up is the rhythm. But you could also get it right in the middle, which puts both pickups on. It kind of gives you that little funky gut bucking sound you hear right there. Yeah. Now I'm going to hit this also. I forgot to do, and I can't forget to do that, is the rhythm pickup with overdrive on it, because, man, that just sounds so incredible. So you heard the lead pickup. Remember that, the lead pickup with it. Now we're going to throw on the rhythm pickup. So let's hear. Here's your lead. Anyways, I want to thank you for watching this another segment of Inside the Gig Bag. Welcome back, Ray. Thanks for waiting while I did that stupid noodling.
I love Inside the Gig Bag.
No,
They're
it's
great.
fun. It's a fun thing to do. So we were talking about your vocal training and what you did. So let's get into the band stuff, because that's really important. So you got into societies, and the 80s was a really good time to be doing original music. Like when Joint Forces decided to come out, when Mark Diamond came back from California, and we ended up doing nothing but all original music from that point. And that's kind of when Bonnie was opening, when that band was opening for us with Bonnie. Yeah. But, bands were, doing, back then, a lot of bands were doing a mixture of covers and original music. Mm-hmm. Like even Jimmy Christian with Eyes, Eyes was doing a lot of original. They had an album out and everything, but then they would also play, incredible, like Bohemian Raps. I mean, that, the Eyes was just an amazing band. Funny that him and I ended up playing together in House of Lords years ago, years later. But it was a great time to showcase original music. And what was great about it is that the audiences came out back then. I mean, packed places to hear you play your own music.
Yeah.
But one of the main things about the bands back then was the '80s look, which all the bands had. I mean, we all had the long hair and
leather and
so it was all part of the whole package. If you were trying to sell the band, you couldn't have no hair or short hair to be in one. It just wasn't like that back then.
Right, khaki pants or
Shorts.
shorts.
But then again, you had Devo, so who knows?
That's true. Yeah, flower pot.
That's a whole different '80s music. But yeah, so what was your? Do you remember what your first gig was when you joined Societies?
I do. So the original guys: Bobby Kerr, John Lamson, Chris Parker, and Jimmy Blair.
Jimmy Blair.
The very first. Remember Jimmy?
Yeah.
The first one I booked at the I-90 in Enfield, and that was the debut. And they had a manager at the time, Bob, and it was packed, and it went over extremely well. We did all originals with some covers. We used to throw the covers in just to do something different.
Right.
The band was known for originals, and we, from that point on, just continued to write songs.
Did you guys put out maybe do a cassette? I mean, CDs weren't around back then. Did you make an album?
Well, no, that lineup never did. The closest we had gotten through some lineup changes where we made a tape that circulated for a little while, and then we went into the Carriage House. Remember where was that? Down? That was down on the shore.
I think so.
Yeah. So we did an industry thing, and we put it out, the chalkboard tape. It had a chalkboard, some writing on it, and Crying was on there, and Can't Call It Love, and all these songs.
Was John Lamson in the band?
Oh yeah, John was in the band.
John did an article on me back to help him graduate.
Did he?
I went to his house and he did an interview on me back when in the original Joint Forces was a cover band from 1981 to '82. And John came out, and I went to his house, and he did I have a picture of me and him, like a real young me.
Yeah.
And
real young John.
A young skinny me, and a young John. So it was pretty funny. John's always been great, really cool.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Talented pilot. I mean, come on.
Yeah. And good guitar player.
Yeah.
And he writes good songs. Him and I, our writing team was what helped keep that band just. For some reason, people liked what we were doing, and blessed that so many musicians were a part of those different phases. I used to call them mock, sort of after the Deep Purple thing.
Yeah,
it was mock, all the way up to I think it was Mach 13 was.
Well, you even had one of my old students, Jeff Scarfy, in the band.
Yeah,
for a while.
Jeff, 93.
Yeah, so I mean, there's so many changes. So
we had Joe Aparo was in the band.
Really?
Yeah, 92. Yeah.
You mean my Joint Forces drummer was in Society?
He was, yeah.
Oh, that was after Joint Forces.
It was after.
That's right. I remember he joined you guys.
Yep.
Jeez.
Yeah.
All right, so let me just ask you about the writing team, and then we're going to move a little bit forward.
Sure.
When you did your writing, was it primarily you and John doing everything? Like did you do all the lyrics and melody lines? That was your job, or did you? Did they contribute to? Did other members contribute to the lyric lines as well?
Mostly the melodies and lyrics were mine. John is a very talented lyricist as well. But he wrote. Him and I together wrote "Crying." We just tagged off of each other and we put that together. Another Night was one of John's products.
But he didn't. He gave you the freedom to sing it the way you want to sing it. I mean, he didn't dictate to you what to sing. He might have given you an idea of something, a melody he thought.
There was sometimes he might have had more of a focus on sort of the way a line was going to go. But in general, the more we worked on it, I always had the freedom to do with it what I wanted to do.
I say that to all the singers all the time. Yeah. Mike Gill, when we were talking about
Mike's great too.
Yeah, when we were talking about original music, I just said, the singer's got to be the one to, I could sing stuff when I'm writing my songs, what I think is going to be right, but a singer's got to be able to feel comfortable and be able to do exactly what he knows the song is required in order for it to sound good. Because you don't want, if I wrote something for Mike, I might try to do something out of his range, that's not comfortable range for him, And then you don't look at him and go, well, what's the matter? You're a singer, It's just like, you gotta be, what do you mean you can't hit that? Come on. No,
well, it's been pretty much have the reins. I could do what I want, and him and I traded off a lot of ideas from each other. If he came in with most of the music and maybe there wasn't a bridge, I'd write the bridge, or it needed a chord, whatever, and vice versa.
Did you do any songs where the whole band kicked in anything, or that gets to be confusing? I'm not knocking anybody in the band.
And we were lucky to have some fantastic musicians. They all contributed in their parts, whether it was guitar dressings on an outro or in the harmony section, or everybody contributed, but it was
the nucleus.
Usually the nucleus was John and I. They knew that, and they sort of followed direction. There was a freedom there, but we had it in our head, or we recorded it on the tape and said, hey, this is the song. You learn it that way, and then as we played it, it sort of developed and morphed, and later on, sometimes we'd make a change, or like David Chirico when he was with the band, he came in '93. He, amazing vocalist and amazing bass player, came in, and some of the lines that he brought to some of the old stuff and the new stuff that we were writing at the time were like, like I was a bass player, but I'm originally a guitar player, so you're actually a bass player, David. Do what you got to do. So,
when did Fran come in?
'93.
He did?
Yeah.
I love Fran.
Yeah,
what
Fran.
A great guy.
He's been my drummer we've been together 30 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, when we talk about
I'm dating myself now.
No, but it's you got to think about stuff. Look at, do you know how many people, well, I'm a freak in nature anyway, because most everybody has had like a real job. I've had odd and end like music store jobs and things like that for a while. But I've always, music, playing, performing, doing recording, whatever it was to make an income off of music was how I adjusted my life for better or worse. Or
it's a lot of sacrifices.
It was a sacrifice. As a matter of fact, when my daughter comes on next week, we're going to be talking about all that, the sacrifices that I had to do. And but it's so wild that we manage and are still managing to do something that we love very much. And you recreated everything. So you did Society's Children for, you really
years.
brought it for how long?
I want to take a stab at probably 28 years.
Wow.
25, 20, somewhere in there. Because we sort of backed off from playing as the scene was changing. Mid-'90s.
Terrible.
We were still writing. We were going to do a full-length record. We're up at Jeff Gilmore's, which we did all the tracks, main tracks, and we got to a point where it just kind of didn't happen, unfortunately, because I would have loved to have had that project completed. But we did a few more shows. We would play every so often. We all the way up to 2004. And then we've done 3 reunions since then.
Wait, we played together on one of them, right? I think, didn't we play? There was something we did at what's the place in Manchester that we did? It was all.
Backroads.
No, All Star. Was it
All Stars?
Didn't we do one there?
Yes, we did. Yes, we did.
Society's reunion.
Yeah, that was the last one with Forces.
And Forces.
And, that was with the '93 Silhouette Band with Fran. David Chirico and Jeff Scarfy. It's so funny to go back and look at all the different lineups from when Joey was playing as him and Kevin from Painkiller.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And
Kevin played bass.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he was with us for a little while.
That's amazing that that many. See, you every time you say a name, I keep forgetting that guy was in Societies for a while.
I look back on that history, and I to this day, there are people, when they see me, they ask about the band, or they want to hear something, or they're still listening to a CD or tape that they have, and they'll say, "Oh, I got married to another night," or "I met my wife or my husband at one of your shows," and to make an impact as you have the same. When people tell you these things, like you had this impact on my life. I was going through a rough time. This song that you have, I listen to it every day. Those were the things that you kind of think about, but you don't until they happen to you. And that's the power of music and the power of your presence and how you come across to people and what they get out of that. It's a powerful thing that people can say, "Hey, you made an impact in my life."
It's weird that you say that, because it's like, I get that so much from guitar players and stuff. And I mean, look, I've been in, playing around since, the early 80s in here, but even in the 70s. In the 70s, I had already developed this style of playing that I have. Mm-hmm. And I guess, when I came back to the area, because I was up in Montreal and all this other stuff, there were guitar players that were doing it, but not that many. So when I started playing, and a lot of people started coming out, even like Chris and Pelletieri, I changed the guy's life. As soon as he saw me play, he wanted to become the fastest guitar player in the world.
Great.
And I hear people say, you just did so much for me, you don't even know. And I kind of look at him and I go, that's really strange, because I'm really just playing, and I say thank you so much. You don't know what that means to me and stuff.
Yeah.
But having a good attitude about that, and a friendly attitude, and not an ego like you and I both do. And I mean, you're just very humble.
Try.
And
my mother would give me a crack upside the head if I wanted.
Yeah, well,
it's just the way you were raised.
Yeah, it is the way we're raised.
You run into some people that maybe can tend to be like that, and you just kind of let them do what they got to do and move on. You can't do anything about that.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. So let's talk about King Cool, because I absolutely love that band.
Thank you.
I don't know how I got involved with getting you something, but I don't know where I heard you the first time or whether you contacted me, but I've always, ever since the first time we did a show together, I think it was at that place, The Tank.
It was.
And that's where Chris had lost his voice. He had no voice that night.
And they were running smoke and fog, and it made it worse.
Yeah, there was the smoke and the fog machine. We didn't know this, but I don't even think he realized it at the time, but the oil or whatever that was clogged him so bad.
It was rough.
That he couldn't even sing. And what's funny about Chris is I absolutely love him so much. He won't.
He's
when
awesome.
Chris couldn't sing something, he doesn't even try to dodge it, to try to come out with another different note. Yeah. He just kind of still goes for it. It's it's so funny. He's that type of guy, and I just, But I mean, he's normally look, he does practically all the lead singing in Doc, and he sings all the main notes.
He's a monster. He's
between his bass playing, his writing, his singing.
Another person who's just down to earth, humble, just a good dude, really good guy.
Yeah,
and immensely talented.
And so we got, I saw you, I don't know if that's where I first saw you, but I was hooked on you guys right from that point on. And then I was telling everybody, you got to get King Cool, And so let's talk about that band. How did that whole thing, I love William,
Bill, I know.
He's the
William,
best.
We call him Billy. So Bill had come down, we had John Brazel was in the band. In Societies.
Yes.
Yep.
That was towards the end, though, right?
He was going to be in 93. Him and I were working together. I tried to get him in, but him and Jeff Scarfy were good friends, and he didn't want to do that. So, Jeff was more than capable of standing on his own. He got the gig. But Mark DeShane was in the band at the time, and John left to go do something. And Bill, I would see during my day job, he's like, anytime you need a guitar player, let me know. So I gave him some stuff. He came down. He was going to be the next guitar player of Society's Children.
Oh, was he?
Yeah. And
he was in a good band in New York.
Yeah, Virgin.
Virgin, yeah.
Fantastic.
I remember they were a great band.
Saratoga.
Yeah.
They'd come down this area and play. Another original band.
Yeah.
But That never happened. 2004, I just sort of decided not to do the societies things anymore. And the guys wanted to continue playing. I had rid of a bunch of stuff that was a little heavier than what we were doing in societies. And they wanted to continue to kind of go down that avenue, which we did. We
Did they have a did everybody part on good ways and stuff pretty much?
Initially, no.
Yeah.
Okay, that's usually how things happen. But like any family, you fight with your brothers and you fight with your sisters, and some time will go by, and whatever it is, if it's a funeral or something, what makes you realize that life is short and you got to get over it.
Yeah.
Whatever, how bad it was, you got to just kind of move on. So
yeah, things, man, it's
you never know. You never know what tomorrow will bring. So John and I patched things up sometime after that, and we went on to do the reunions. But the King Cool thing developed just by us jamming and writing songs. Again,
now that band is definitely more on the heavy, like a lot of drop tunings.
Yeah.
And
it's all drop tuning.
Yeah, and much more on the heavier side.
Yeah.
And I like the songs. I like,
Yeah.
and you actually have
Breathe.
You actually have a CD out, but you have another one though too, right? Or you're
we've been in the studio for one thing after another has been sort of hampering us to get back in there from just life changes and surgeries with people and just one thing after another. You know the story. When you're trying to get something done, there's always something that gets in the way. But we're hoping to get back to that. We've been talking with the...
I heard some of the new songs. I mean, I heard you play them.
We're playing them out now.
Yeah, you're playing them out, and they're really good.
Thank you.
So, I mean, there's just something about that band that I really, really liked. Or that I love.
Because we're sexy, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Every one of those. Even CJ with no hair.
He brings it.
That's sexy. He's a great bass player.
Yeah, and he can sing like a bird. I'll tell you.
You know what's funny is I never when I'm in a band situation, I'm always by myself on the side.
Yeah.
But when we do the Five Kings, which I'm very grateful that you guys let me do that.
Are you kidding? We love it.
Yeah, we have a blast doing the Five Kings. And for the people who don't know what that is, that's actually me joining King Cool, doing a whole set of like almost all AC/DC music, the Bon Scott versions,
Bon Scott.
Bon Scott era.
Yep.
And then, of course, we do a killer version of Stranglehold and, of course, Turn Up the Radio, Aerosmith, things like that. But
Cheap Trick.
but we have a great time doing the AC/DC stuff. And because, to me, that's a huge highlight of your voice. But you have an original voice. Like when you sing your original songs, I don't listen to a King Cool song and go, oh, that's like a Bon Scott singing that. Yeah. It's just like when you happen to do AC/DC Bon Scott, all of a sudden that voice comes out of you.
Yeah.
I don't know how you shift, but that's a great voice.
Yeah, thanks. I stumbled onto that, just singing along in the car to Highway to Hell album or whatnot. And the more I did it, the more I'm like, wow, that, I can do that pretty good. So I started doing it in the band, and the guys were kind of like looking at me going, where did that come from? It just sort of kind of developed. And I enjoy it because I love Bon Scott. I love that whole everything that they've done in that era. I love the Bon Scott stuff too. I mean, the Brian Johnson as well. I don't know how Tony Sittler has been doing that all these years.
Oh my God!
I mean, I've said to him, like, how the heck do you do that?
I asked him that one time too. I'm going like, how in the world?
I have no idea.
Do you sing Brian Johnson? Like he's been doing it since late 80, 89.
Yeah,
he's been doing that Brian Johnson voice, and that's just like, and I never hear him not do it.
No,
it's like he's always.
Yeah,
Of course, we're talking Tony Sittler from Back in Black.
Oh, yeah. Another great band. Great guys.
The guys have been they were one of the first tributes, too. I was talking to Gary Fox about that. Gary, Physical Graffiti was definitely one of the first tributes I ever heard of in my life.
Yep.
They were doing it early 80s, and then Back in Black came out and started tearing it up. But Tony singing, you're talking like Thunderstruck and those about to rock. That's,
I don't know.
Shoot the Thrill. I mean, all those things are like way, way up there.
Yeah.
It's like, how does he
And the whole
do
Back
that?
in Black album, I mean, some of those notes, I'm like, what do you use, an elastic band? And I don't know how he does it, but he another talent, just incredible.
It's just, and the two voices are so different too. I mean, I can imagine what that was like. That was a wild transition for AC/DC. To go, from them losing Bon Scott to getting Brian Johnson. That was a huge thing because usually when bands change singers and stuff, it's very hard to. A lot of people have a hard time accepting something like that, and that was a massive band. So for them to have continued on like that was.
And fortunate, lucky to find somebody that was sort of in that gritty, grainy type of vocal thing. And I remember as a kid going, "Hey, he sounds just like Bon," but I was a kid.
Right.
I'm like, no, he don't. He don't sound anything like him, but they're in the same ballpark,
Yeah, he's able to do the Bon when he does it. He does it. But yeah, so like with King Cool, when you guys do your original stuff, it's extremely powerful music. It's like you guys are really. I love watching guys. Sometimes you'll just come out and you'll got that drop D ringing, really hitting it really crazy.
It hits you right in the,
it's like you're going and all of a sudden Fran kicks in with a beat. And the thing I was starting to say about CJ is, when I do get to play with you guys, I stand next to CJ. And I never have a bass player really on my side.
Right.
And man, that guy's a solid bass player.
Yeah, he thumps.
Yeah, he's just like, blah, 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 really. I look at him and go, man, you're getting down on that thing, ain't you? He's like, really, he's got a good voice. So, between you, Billy, and CJ, you guys are just like killing it.
Yeah.
And I hope to God that you can get into the studio and finish that stuff. I think people would like to hear it because it's definitely music that's happening now. But you also manage, within the stuff that you're doing, you also manage to keep a little bit hint of some of the cool 80s vibes going in there too. So that's you're giving something that everybody wants.
We try. We have one of the ones we've been playing is a song called Resurrection. And it's, in any situation in life, if it's a relationship or, a sickness that you heal from or just struggles everyday life, you resurrect yourself. You just have to find a way to do it. Is what the songs where it comes from. So I don't know. As I'm getting old, I'm getting more divine. I guess I'm looking upstairs, and but it registers with me. So when I write the lyrics, that's where I'm going for. I tried to do better because I've done the typical rock and roll stuff. Sex and drugs and all that happy stuff, and it bores me after a while, but I'm trying to do...
Well, we have to, all of us in our age group, of course, some of our dear friends didn't get out of that, but, there was a point where, we all had a lot of fun in the 80s because that's just because of what it was, especially in the music business. But I always say especially in the music business, but it isn't. I mean, doctors, lawyers,
everywhere.
It was just insane. People were,
Any kind of entertainment, really. But even the folks working hard every 40-hour blue-collar worker was indulging in whatever.
Yeah, it was just a strange time. But, it came a point, like for me personally, like I haven't drank or done, anything, especially anything else, but alcohol for years. And my life has just been, so much better.
Good for you.
You know what I'm saying?
Awesome.
It's just like, I can't. Because you see the way that I play guitar. You know how I play guitar.
I wish I could play half as good as he does.
No, but you see the way I play guitar. That's how I used to drink.
Yeah.
It's like I have to be.
I remember when you used to drink.
Yeah, I mean, it's like, and I wasn't violent. I'm not. That's not my personality. I was just fun, but I always had to be like, it has to be all or nothing with me. Yeah. Just like with the guitar, it's all or nothing all the time.
Yeah.
In order for me to maintain my lifestyle of what I'm doing, plus Mandy would kill me.
Well, yeah.
I mean, I'm not going to do anything.
Well, she's got you on the straight and narrow, lad.
Oh yeah, Mandy's my everything, boy. I'll tell you, I don't know what that woman saved me.
Lucky
boy.
man, lucky.
She's a good woman.
She's fantastic.
She's going to come on. She's coming on the show.
I can't wait. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I told you she's going to have to sign a disclaimer before that she won't divorce me after the show. No, you're not leaving me after this, right?
Right. No matter what. No matter what.
Right here. I'm going to make her do it right on camera too. That she has to sign it, so I have witnesses and everything.
That's great. That's great.
I'll have the guys in the back come and stand over like this while she's signing. Yeah, I mean, look, we're still going. You got a killer band.
Thanks.
And I truly hope that I get to come up on stage with you again because I love doing the Five Kings.
Yeah, we got to put some dates together.
Yeah, I mean, whenever you get an opportunity to, say, hey, you know what? Why don't we throw Jimmy up there? Because it's always like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And I love playing with the guys. Yeah. I absolutely love the guys.
I mean, hanging out's good and playing's good, and yeah, it's always just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's a great vibe. When we're up
talking war stories and.
Well, it's even funnier too, because like when I'm playing and I'm looking at you. When I'm doing something, you looking over at me, smiling, and William, it's just like,
there's a vibe.
These guys are great. These are my friends. It's so different from back in the early days where it's, things might have been more of a, competition, not a competition, but it was more on edge. It
was like
bands were in competition back then. I'm not going to lie. We had. Even around the area, it was no secret that the Crier and Joint Forces were, in battle against, because we had Jay Johnson, who was an amazing guitar player.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, there's no secrets that stuff was just like that. It was, who wanted to draw the bigger crowd, but all the bands were drawing big crowds.
Yeah.
We were playing at the Agora Ballroom, selling out, 1,000 people.
Yeah.
Every given night that we played, it was 500 to 600 people. It wasn't like.
Oh,
now we're, when we're playing, it's like,
you get good crowds.
We're begging though a lot of times. A lot of times you got to do all this promotion yourself. And the club owners, the people that you're playing for, half the time will blame you directly if you happen to have a slow night there.
Yeah. And they did no advertising.
But they did not one thing themselves.
Yeah.
Every band, you guys do it. Every band, every Beyond Purple date that we do our own self-promotion, the social media. Believe me, social media has its huge downfalls. I've seen
yes, it does.
I've been bashed on it quite a bit sometimes. But, it has its purpose where, if you're trying to promote music, you're trying to promote your band, you do that. But on the other hand, you have these club owners that basically, if you don't have a great night, they're looking at you.
Yeah.
It's like, well, okay, well, how much? What did you do?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I got this sign out on the billboard on the street.
Whoa.
Oh, okay. So you're not on a major road here. Okay, so that really,
Yeah. But some of them do what they can, and they do pretty good. And if you can communicate with them and try to maybe do, pump a little bit more. If they have a Facebook page, a social media, they try to at least put stuff out.
We
didn't have that back in the day.
No, Brian, our bass player, always he pushes. Like if we're playing down in a certain area, he'll go on there and I guess you could buy something on Facebook to advertise down there, like in a certain whatever that area is.
Okay.
To flood it, you pay a little extra money out of pocket or something. I don't know anything about it. But anyways, look. I love you to death, man. You're
Likewise.
a great friend, and I can't thank you enough for coming on here.
I appreciate it.
But I know you came last week, and I felt terrible. I should have realized something was going on when you had you asked for my address, and I just didn't think of anything. I thought you were just like kind of wanted it for next week or for this week. And
no, I had put it in the calendar and for today, but for whatever reason, I was looking at it again, and I put it in for last week. And, I got all ready to come. I came down here, and Mandy put the flowers, some flowers for Mandy. And it was good to see Gary.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know, absent-minded singer maybe? I don't know. Who knows?
Well, you know what? It's always great to see you. I want to get up on stage with you again. We'll have another killer time.
Definitely do that.
And I do want to say you look sexier today than you did last week when you showed up. So it's probably good that we didn't get to.
Yeah, you're too kind, man. But I want to say thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor and a pleasure, and it's always I always enjoy hanging out with you.
Yeah, we do. We have a good time hanging out. And if you do get a chance to go see King Cool, please go see them because they're a great, great band, and you'll absolutely love them. And Ray puts on a great show and everything else. Ray, I love you too much.
Love you too, man.
Love you so much.
I love you
we
so
love
much.
you long time. Stay sexy. All right, folks. This is Jimi Bell saying goodbye from RHCTV Studios, otherwise known as Jimi Bell Studio. Take care.